I still remember the sound of that morning, the soft hum of the heater, the patter of rain against the window, and the rhythm of my thoughts running faster than the water from the shower head. It was one of those mornings when everything feels strangely heavy, though nothing in particular is wrong. I had been living alone for 6 months, in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon. The place was old but cozy, filled with secondhand furniture and the smell of coffee that never really left the air. My name's Ethan Miller, and until that day, I thought I had a pretty good idea of how predictable life could be. I was working as a freelance designer, struggling to keep my routine steady: gym, coffee, work, sleep, repeat. But sometimes life doesn't tap your shoulder before it changes everything. Sometimes it walks right into your life, quite literally. That morning, the building's plumbing had been acting weird for days. My neighbor, Claire, who lived across the hall, had mentioned it the night before when we met in the elevator. She had just moved in 2 weeks earlier. She was the kind of person you noticed without trying: bright green eyes, a nervous smile, always holding a sketchbook under her arm. We hadn't talked much beyond the usual "hi" and "how's your day?" but there was something about her calm presence that felt grounding. I turned on the shower, humming to myself. The pipes rattled like they were arguing. The water started out cold, then swung to scalding. I groaned, muttering a few words not fit for polite company. Somewhere in the middle of adjusting the temperature, I thought I heard a faint knock, but with the water running, I wasn't sure. Then the bathroom door opened. At first, I froze. The curtain was drawn, so all I saw was a shadow, a figure standing in the doorway. My heart jumped into my throat. "Ethan," came a startled voice. It was Claire. "Wait, what Claire?" I blurted, fumbling for the curtain. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she gasped, spinning around so fast she nearly dropped something that clattered on the tile. "The maintenance guy said my water line's connected to yours. And it started flooding. I didn't know you were." I could barely process it. I shut off the water, grabbed a towel, and stumbled out, dripping everywhere. Claire was standing by the sink, her hair slightly damp, holding a wrench and a guilty expression that was impossible to stay mad at. Her face was redder than mine. I swear I didn't mean to. "It's okay," I interrupted, trying not to laugh. "I guess that's one way to meet your neighbor." She laughed nervously, covering her face. "Great first impression, right?" We both stood there awkwardly for a few seconds before the absurdity hit us. 2 adults in a soaked bathroom, one holding a wrench, the other clutching a towel like a shield. And then we both laughed. That kind of laugh that comes from surprise and relief all at once. That was the first real moment between us. After she left, apologizing every 2 seconds, I couldn't stop thinking about her. There was something about her voice, soft, sincere, the kind of tone that made you want to listen longer. Later that day, she knocked again, this time holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Peace offering," she said. I smiled. Accepted. We sat on my couch, still laughing about the morning disaster. She told me she was a painter, recently out of art school, looking for inspiration. She'd moved here to get away from the noise of her old city life, trying to figure herself out. I told her about my design work, how I often felt like I was chasing deadlines instead of dreams. Somehow, the conversation just flowed. Hours disappeared. In the weeks that followed, we became close, effortlessly close. We'd bump into each other at the mailbox, share dinner sometimes, or spend evenings watching the rain through the hallway windows. She painted, I worked on my designs, and somewhere in between, our lives started to intertwine in quiet, unspoken ways. One night, I came home to find a note slipped under my door. "Ethan, the water heater's acting up again. Please tell me you're not showering." See, I laughed out loud. That little note became our inside joke. Whenever something went wrong, the Wi-Fi, the heater, even the elevator, she'd leave me a playful note. And soon, the notes turned into sketches. Little doodles of us as cartoon neighbors surviving apartment chaos. There was one sketch I still have framed. 2 figures standing under a dripping ceiling, sharing a single umbrella. She titled it Shared Rain. Months passed. Our friendship deepened into something more meaningful. Not rushed, not labeled, just real. There were movie nights that stretched into 2 a.m. talks, grocery runs that turned into spontaneous road trips, and quiet mornings where just sharing coffee felt like the day's best moment. But life, as always, tests what feels easy. Claire got an opportunity to showcase her art in Seattle, a big deal for her career. The catch? She'd have to move there for at least 6 months. When she told me, she looked torn between excitement and guilt. "I don't want to leave," she said softly. But I think I have to. I smiled, even though my chest ached. You have to go. You've worked too hard for this. That night, she left me another note. Don't forget to fix the heater. And maybe water the plants. I'll miss our coffee. For a while, the apartment felt emptier, like the walls had forgotten how to echo laughter. I threw myself into work, tried new projects, even joined a local design community to keep busy. But no matter what, I'd catch myself checking the hallway whenever I heard footsteps, half hoping it was her. Then, one rainy afternoon months later, I heard a familiar knock. When I opened the door, Claire stood there, rain-soaked, holding a small box and wearing that same nervous smile from the first day. Hey, she said softly. I blinked. Claire? You're back? She nodded. The exhibition ended early. And I realized I didn't just miss this place. I smiled, speechless. She stepped closer. Also, your water pressure still sucks. We both laughed, the same laugh from that first ridiculous morning. She handed me the box. Inside was a small canvas, a painting of my bathroom door, half open, with light spilling through. The caption read, "Everything changed." I didn't need to ask what it meant. From that day on, Claire wasn't just the neighbor who walked in by accident. She was the person who walked into my life when I didn't even realize how much I needed someone. We built something real, something grounded in laughter, friendship, and all those small, beautiful moments that never make headlines but make life worth living. Now, every time I take a shower, I smile. Not because of that old embarrassing story, but because it reminds me that sometimes fate doesn't knock. It just opens the door. And everything changes.